Welcome to My Colombia Stories. This one's about patience, about taking your time and still getting destroyed. Gary, 61, retired electrician from Phoenix. Went to Bogotá in 2024 looking for a quieter life. Met Daniela at a restaurant in Zona Rosa. She was 34, worked at a salon. Never asked him for money. Not once in 2 months. That's what made him trust her. And then Gary made a decision that almost got him killed. If you want daily Colombian cautionary tales instead of every other day, hit subscribe and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Here's Gary. I retired in December 2023. I was 61. Spent 38 years as an electrician in Phoenix. Union work. Good pension. $3,400 a month for life. Had about $95,000 in savings. Owned my house. No mortgage. Kids were grown. My daughter lived in Tucson. My son was in San Diego. Both doing fine. My wife passed away in 2019 from a heart attack. Just dropped one day in the kitchen. Gone before the ambulance arrived. After that, I just worked and came home and worked and came home. For 4 years, that's all I did. By the end of 2023, I was burned out. Tired of Phoenix, tired of the heat, tired of the empty house. My buddy Rick had been spending winters in Mexico for years. He kept saying that try somewhere new, start over, you're still young enough. So I started researching. Colombia kept coming up. Cheaper than Mexico. Better healthcare. Mountain cities with good weather. I looked at Medellin, but it seemed too much like a party town. Cartagena was beautiful, but too hot. Bogotá felt right. Big city. Culture. Museums, cooler weather. Not a beach town, not a backpacker scene. Just a real city where people lived normal lives. I booked a one-way ticket for January 2024. Rented an apartment in Chapinero through Airbnb. 1 bedroom. Furnished. Nice building with security. 2.5 million pesos a month. About $600. Walking distance to Zona Rosa and Parque 93. Good restaurants. Safe area. I figured I'd stay 3 months and see how it felt. Maybe longer if I liked it. First few weeks I just walked around. Got my bearings. Learned the Transmilenio bus system. Found a gym. Found a grocery store. Found a cafe where I'd get breakfast. I wasn't looking to meet anyone. Wasn't on dating apps. Just wanted to exist quietly for a while and figure out what retirement actually meant. I met Daniela my 3rd week there. I was having lunch at a restaurant in Zona Rosa. Small place. Good menu del dia. She was my waitress, maybe mid-30s, pretty, professional. She spoke decent English. Asked where I was from. I said Phoenix. She said she'd never been to the United States. Asked what brought me to Bogotá. I said retirement. Change of scenery. She said that made sense. Bogotá was good for that. Handed me my check and smiled. I went back to that restaurant 3 more times that week. Not because of her. The food was good and it was close to my apartment. But she was always working. Always friendly. By the 4th visit, we were talking more. She asked about my life. I asked about hers. She'd grown up in Suacha, a rough area south of Bogotá. Moved to the city when she was 22. Worked at a hair salon in Chapinero. Waitressed on weekends for extra money. Had a 10-year-old daughter who lived with her mum in Suacha. She sent money every month. She seemed tired but not bitter. Just working. Trying to get by. I respected that. On my 5th visit, I asked if she'd like to get coffee sometime when she wasn't working. She said yes. Wrote her number on the back of my receipt. We met 2 days later at a cafe in Parque 93. Talked for 2 hours. About life, about losing people. About starting over. She'd been divorced for 6 years. Her ex-husband was in Cali. Didn't help with their daughter, she was doing it alone. I told her about my wife. About the heart attack. About the 4 years after just going through the motions. She reached across the table and touched my hand. Said I was brave for leaving. For trying something new. I said I didn't feel brave. Just lost. She said sometimes they're the same thing. We started seeing each other regularly. Coffee twice a week. Dinner on Fridays. Walks in Parque Simón Bolívar on Sundays. She never asked me for money. Not once. Not even subtly. When we went out, we'd split the bill. Or I'd pay, and she wouldn't make a big deal about it. She'd thank me, but not like she expected it. Like it was a nice gesture between equals. That meant something to me. I'd been around enough to know when someone was working an angle. She wasn't. She was just a woman with her own life who seemed to enjoy spending time with me. By week 6, I'd met her family. Her mum, her sister, her daughter Valentina. We went to her mum's house in Soacha for Sunday lunch. It was small. Concrete block house, cramped, but clean. Her mum cooked sancocho. We all sat around a plastic table in the living room eating and talking. Her sister's husband was there, her nephew. Valentina sat next to me and asked questions about Arizona in broken English. What's the desert like? Are there really cowboys? I showed her photos on my phone. She thought it was amazing. Daniela watched us and smiled. Later she said Valentina liked me. That was rare. She didn't trust men easily. I started to feel like maybe this was real. Like maybe I'd found something good. Not a fantasy, not a transaction. Just a normal relationship with a normal woman who had a job and a family and a life that didn't revolve around me. That's what I wanted. That's what I thought I had. Week 7, Lina stayed at my apartment. For the first time, nothing dramatic. Just dinner and a movie, and she fell asleep on the couch. I woke her up around midnight and offered to call her a taxi. She said she could stay if that was okay. I said of course. She slept in my bed, I slept on the couch. In the morning she made coffee and we had breakfast. It felt domestic, comfortable, like we were building something. Week 8, she invited me to her apartment for dinner. She'd been talking about cooking for me for weeks. Said she wanted to make her mum's recipe for ajiaco. I'd never been to her place. She lived in Tusaquilo. Older neighbourhood. Residential. She said it wasn't fancy, but it was hers. I said I'd love to see it. I took a taxi over on Friday night. She texted me the address. 4th floor apartment. In a building that looked like it was from the 60s. Concrete. Narrow hallways. I knocked on her door. She answered wearing jeans and a sweater. Hair pulled back. Smiling. The apartment smelled incredible. She'd been cooking all afternoon. Inside was small but nice. 1 bedroom. Living room with a couch and a TV. Little kitchen. Clean. Organised. Photos on the wall. Her daughter Angelica. Her mum. Her sister. It looked lived in. Real. She handed me a beer and told me to sit. Dinner would be ready in 20 minutes. We talked while she finished cooking. She asked how I was liking Bogotá. I said I loved it. Felt like home already. She said she was glad. Said she'd been worried I'd get bored and leave. Go back to Phoenix. I said I wasn't going anywhere. She smiled. Said good. She served the ajiaco. It was incredible. Chicken, potatoes, corn, capers, cream, avocado. We ate at her little kitchen table. She poured us wine. Chilean red. We talked about everything. Her daughter's school. My son's job in San Diego. The weather in Phoenix versus Bogotá. Normal stuff. Easy conversation. I felt comfortable. Relaxed, like I'd known her for years instead of 2 months. After dinner we moved to the couch. She put on music. Colombian stuff I didn't recognise but liked. We finished the wine. She poured more. I was feeling good. Full. A little buzzed. Happy. She leaned against me. Put her head on my shoulder. Said this was nice. I said it was. She said she was glad I'd come to Bogotá. Glad we'd met. I said me too. I don't remember much after that. I remember feeling tired. Heavy. Like I'd had too much wine. I remember saying I should probably go. She said stay. Just rest for a minute. I remember lying back on the couch. Her voice saying something I couldn't make out. Then nothing. Just black. I woke up and it was daylight. Bright sunlight coming through a window. My head felt like it had been cracked open. My mouth was so dry I could barely swallow. I tried to sit up. Couldn't. My body wasn't working right. Took me a full minute to get my arms under me and push myself up. I was still on the couch. But something was wrong. The apartment felt different. Empty. I looked around. The TV was gone. The photos on the wall were gone. I stood up slow. My legs were shaking. Walked to the kitchen. The table was still there, but the chairs were gone. Walked to the bedroom. The bed was there, but nothing else. No dresser. No clothes. No personal items. I opened the closet. Empty. I opened drawers. Empty. I went back to the living room. Looked at the walls. There were lighter squares where the photos had been. Like they'd been hanging there for years and someone had just ripped them down. That's when it hit me. This wasn't her apartment. It was a setup. A stage. The photos, the furniture, all of it. Just enough to make it look real. And now it was gone. And so was she. I checked my pockets. Nothing. My phone was gone. My wallet was gone. My watch was gone. I had nothing. I went to the door. It was unlocked. I stepped into the hallway. No one around. I took the stairs down, 4 flights, my legs barely working. Got to the lobby. The security guard looked at me. I must have looked like hell. I tried to ask him about the woman in apartment 402. He said no one lived there. It had been vacant for 2 months. I said that's impossible. I was just there last night with her. He shrugged. Said the owner rented it short term sometimes. Cash only. Didn't ask questions. I asked when she'd left. He said he saw someone moving stuff out around 3 a.m. Didn't see who. Just heard noise. I walked out onto the street. No money, no phone, no idea what to do. I started walking toward Chapinero, toward my apartment. It took maybe 40 minutes. I got there and the security guard let me in. Recognised me. I went upstairs. Unlocked my door with the spare key I kept hidden above the frame. Went inside, sat on the couch, tried to process what had just happened. Then I remembered. My laptop. I'd left it on my desk. I went to check. It was still there. They hadn't taken it. Maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they were in a hurry. I don't know. But it was there. I opened it. Went to iCloud. Logged in to find my iPhone. My phone was on. Active. Moving. I watched the blue dot on the map. It was downtown. El Centro. Moving around near a place called La Opera. I sat there staring at the screen. My phone was live. Right now. Moving around. I could see exactly where it was. And something in me snapped. I wasn't thinking straight. I was angry. Betrayed. Stupid. All of it. But mostly I was angry. I'd trusted her. Given her 2 months. Met her family. Her daughter. And it was all fake. All of it. I wanted my phone back. I wanted answers. I wanted something. I grabbed my laptop and got a taxi downstairs. Told the driver to take me to El Centro, near Avenida Jimenez. He looked at me funny. Asked if I was sure. I said yes. He shrugged and drove. Traffic was heavy. Took 30 minutes. The whole time I watched the blue dot on my laptop screen. It kept moving. A few blocks this way, a few blocks that way. But staying in the same general area. Near La Opera. We got to El Centro and I told the driver to drop me at the corner of Jimenez and Carrera 10. He said, be careful. El Centro isn't safe for tourists. I said I'd be fine. Paid him and got out. The area was chaos. Street vendors everywhere. People selling phones and cables and electronics on blankets on the sidewalk. Shops crammed together selling everything. Music blaring. I pulled out my laptop and checked the location. My phone was 2 blocks away. Inside a building on Calle 12. I walked. People stared. I was a 61-year-old gringo walking through El Centro with a laptop open staring at the screen. I stood out, but I didn't care. I got to the building. It was an old 5-story place. Ground floor was shops, electronics, repair shops, phone cases. I checked the laptop. My phone was inside one of these shops, second one from the corner. I walked in. The place was small. Counter at the front. Shelves behind it with phone parts and tools. 3 guys working. Young, maybe 20s. 1 behind the counter. 2 in the back working on phones. Dozens of phones. On tables. On shelves. Being taken apart. Being worked on. I walked up to the counter. The guy looked at me. Said something in Spanish. I said in English, "You have my phone." He smiled. Not friendly. Just amused. He said in English, "You track it." I said yes. He nodded, said, "Smart. Most gringos don't think of that." I said I want it back. He said, "Sure, 5 million pesos." I said, "What?" He repeated it. 5 million pesos, then you get your phone back. I said, "You stole my phone." He shrugged. Said, "I didn't steal anything. I just fix phones. Someone brings me a phone, I unlock it. That's my job. You want it back, you pay." I said, "I'm calling the police." He laughed. "Go ahead. They know we're here. This is business." One of the guys in the back looked up. Bigger guy. Tattooed arms. He said something in Spanish to the guy. At the counter. They both smiled. I realised what was happening. I was a 61-year-old American standing in an electronics shop in downtown Bogotá, surrounded by guys who'd just hacked my phone and cleaned out my accounts, asking for $1,200 to get it back. And no one was going to help me. The police knew about this place. The taxi driver had warned me. This was how it worked. I said, "I'm not paying." The guy at the counter shrugged. Said, "Then you don't get your phone." The bigger guy in the back stood up, walked toward the counter, stood next to the first guy. He didn't say anything, just stood there, arms crossed, looking at me. The message was clear. Pay or leave, and if I didn't leave, they'd make me leave. I backed toward the door, said you can keep it. The guy at the counter smiled, said, already did. I walked out. My hands were shaking. I walked fast back toward the main street, kept looking behind me to make sure no one was following. Got to the corner, flagged down a taxi, got in, told him to take me to Chapinero. He asked if I was okay. I said yeah. Just get me out of here. On the way back, I opened my laptop, checked to find my iPhone. My phone was offline. They'd disabled the tracking. It was gone. Really gone this time. I got back to my apartment, went inside, locked the door, sat on the couch, opened my laptop, logged into my bank, accounts. My stomach dropped. Chase checking account. 5 withdrawals at ATMs near Lina's apartment. 10 million pesos total. About $2,400. That's the max you can pull in one night. Savings account. Wire transfer to a Colombian bank account I didn't recognize. 50 million pesos. About $12,000. Credit card. Maxed out at $8,000. Charges all over Bogotá. Electronics, clothing, cash advances. Zelle account. 2 transfers. $5,000 total. Venmo, cleaned out. $800. PayPal, $4,000 transferred out. Total damage, $31,200. 2 months of trust. 1 dinner. 1 glass of wine. And they'd taken everything I had accessible. Everything. I'd been in Colombia for 2 months, met a woman who seemed genuine, who never asked for money, who introduced me to her family, her daughter, who made me feel like maybe I'd found something real after 4 years of being alone. And it was all theatre. All of it. The family, the daughter, the apartment, the wine. Everything was planned from the moment I walked into that restaurant in Zona Rosa. I called my bank, disputed the charges. They said they'd investigate, but international fraud is hard to recover. Might take 60 to 90 days. Probably wouldn't get anything back. I said fine. Whatever. Called my credit card company. Same story. I spent the next 3 days in my apartment. Didn't go out. Didn't eat much. Just sat there replaying everything. Every conversation. Every moment. Looking for signs I'd missed. But there weren't any. She'd been perfect, professional, patient. She played the long game. 2 months. Never asked for money. Never rushed. Just waited until I trusted her completely. Until I'd go to her apartment and drink wine she'd poured and not question it. That's what made her good. That's what made it work. I learned later from another expat at my gym that La Opera is known for this. Girls drug tourists. Take their phones, bring them straight to La Opera. Professional hackers there unlock them. Access everything. Bank apps, Venmo, Zelle, PayPal. All of it. They work fast. 5 hours and they've drained everything. Then they sell the phone or dump it. The girls get maybe 20%. The hackers get the rest. It's an operation. Organised, professional. And the police don't do anything because they think if you're messing around with Colombian women, you deserve what you get. I flew back to Phoenix 2 weeks later. Changed my flight. Couldn't stay in Bogotá anymore. Every street reminded me of her, every restaurant, every park. I'd see women who looked like her and my stomach would turn. I just wanted to be home, in my house, in my routine, where I understood the rules. My kids were shocked when I told them what happened. My daughter wanted to fly down and help. I said no. It was over. Nothing to do. My son asked how much I'd lost. I told him. He went quiet. Can't trust anyone down there. I said I know that now. I know. I've been back in Phoenix for 8 months. I'm still here, still in the same house. Still doing the same things I was doing before I left. And I don't trust anyone anymore. Not women. Not strangers. Not friendly waitresses who seem different. Not families who welcome you into their homes. None of it. Because I learned that 2 months doesn't mean anything. Meeting someone's family doesn't mean anything. A daughter sitting next to you asking about Arizona doesn't mean anything. It's all just part of the con. All of it. I think about that night sometimes. Lina handing me wine. Me drinking it without hesitation. Feeling tired. Her voice telling me to rest. I replay it looking for the moment I could have said no. Could have left. Could have seen it coming. But there isn't one. I was 61 years old, sitting in an apartment I thought was hers, drinking wine I thought was safe, with a woman I thought I knew. And every single part of that sentence was wrong. People ask if I'll travel again. I say no. They ask if I'll date again. I say no. I'm 61 years old. I lost my wife 5 years ago. I spent 2 months in Colombia, thinking I'd found something real, and lost $31,000 learning I hadn't. I'm done. I'll work on my house. I'll see my kids when they visit. I'll go to the gym. That's it. That's enough. The worst part isn't the money. I mean, it hurts for a retiree on a pension. But I'll survive. I've got my house, I've got my monthly check. I'll rebuild eventually. What I won't rebuild is the belief that you can trust people if you're careful enough, if you wait long enough, if you do everything right. Because I did everything right. I waited 2 months, I met her family, I didn't rush, I didn't throw money around, I was respectful and cautious and smart. And I still woke up in an empty apartment with nothing. That's the lesson. There is no amount of time that makes someone trustworthy. There is no family introduction that proves someone's real. There's just luck. And I didn't have it. And now I'm back in Phoenix with $31,000 less, and the knowledge that the world is exactly as cold as I'd feared it was. Maybe colder. Gary waited 2 months, met her family, thought time meant safety. It didn't. They played the long game, and he paid for it. $31,000. 2 months of trust. 1 glass of wine. This is my Colombia Stories. Back soon with another.